Hello and welcome to Benue Television News at 9. I am Jude Alaki. The headlines: Benue State Police Command confirms death of 6 persons in Okum local government area. Senate passes North Central Development Commission bill. And on the international scene, Democratic Republic of Congo Tribunal sentences 25 soldiers to death for fleeing the enemy. A 2-day capacity building training for staff of Benue Investment in Property Company Limited (BIPC) has ended with a charge on participants to target customer satisfaction. The Managing Director of BIPC, Dr. Raymond Asamakaha, gave the charge to the staff mainly from the BIPC bread and water factories, emphasizing customer satisfaction, teamwork, and dedication to duty. Dr. Asamakaha encouraged the trainees to develop their skills that would contribute to the growth of the company and assured Benue youths of Governor Hyacinth Alia's desire to ensure they are gainfully employed. The training took place at the company premises in Makadi, covering factory operations around customer service, marketing, sales, safety measures, communication and management skills. The security experts have called on the public to stop the sharing of viral video on 5 Benue girls recently discovered in Côte d'Ivoire as victims of human trafficking. The call was part of Benue Television's program The Mirror on Thursday. Martha Iku tells us more.
A video has been trending on social media platforms showing some young girls who were allegedly taken to Côte d'Ivoire by some suspected human traffickers. Moved by this latest development, Zonal Commander Benue State National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Gloria Bai, was on the Benue TV program The Mirror to throw more light on issues around the situation. Mrs. Gloria Bai said the girls have been rescued and are currently in custody of the Nigerian Embassy in Abidjan.
I got the report from a concerned citizen, a guy that was coming from Côte d'Ivoire himself, and then he wanted to report the case to us. Yes, the girls were rescued in Côte d'Ivoire, and that very day, Monday, I was able to make contact with the embassy in Côte d'Ivoire, and I spoke to the girls on video call. So the girls are safe in Côte d'Ivoire.
She said the girls were presently in safe hands at the Nigerian Embassy in Abidjan, while investigation had already begun into the circumstances that led to the girls being trafficked to Côte d'Ivoire.
They were trafficked there, but the details of how they were trafficked is when they arrived back in Benue State that we'll be able to know how they were moved. And the circumstances that they were moved, and by the time we finish interviewing them, we'll be able to get the real story on how they were trafficked.
The special advisor to the Benue State Governor on Internal Security, Joseph Har, speaking on the program, said one suspect has been arrested in connection to the case, while calling on the general public and Benue State in particular to pull down the video of the girls.
If you have issues of trafficking, the best way to handle it is NAPTI. It's not for you to go and start blowing videos to show overzealousness, and in the course of doing that, compromise the investigation. So we are closely monitoring it. Even the transportation, we are closely monitoring it to see that they get to Benue State safe and secured. I'm asking the Benue people, whoever has that clip should please delete it. Let it go instinct.
Benue Television will keep a tab on the issue as events continue to unfold. Martha Iko, Benue Television News, Makede.
Thank you, Martha. The Benue State Police Command has confirmed the death of 6 persons in a suspected bandits attack on Ayati, a community in Okum local government area on the boundary between Benue and Taraba states. Police spokesperson SP Sewesenene says violence increased after the death of the dreaded kingpin Ghana, resulting to the deployment of security to maintain peace in Okum and 2 other local governments of Logo and Katsanala. The police public relations officer SP Anana says hundreds of protesters allegedly sponsored to unleash mayhem on the people and destabilize security network destroyed personal and government property during the protest. She informs the Commissioner of Police, Benue State Command, CP Hassan Yabanet FCID, has drafted tactical teams and heads of other security agencies to forestall further breakdown of law and order in the area. The statement says 18 suspects have been arrested and investigation is ongoing. And now for stories from other parts of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has inaugurated his Presidential Economic Coordination Council (PECC), drawn from different sectors of society and the economy. After inaugurating the council, President Tinubu presented the outcomes of his review of the Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan, which seeks to inject a total of 2 trillion naira into the economy in the next 6 months. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, who led the selected members of the council to brief journalists after the briefing, gave a breakdown of the areas to benefit from the emergency funding, including health, agriculture, energy and power, and other areas. The President announced the constitution of the Council, which he personally chairs, in a statement issued by his Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, of March 27, 2024. Other members of the PECC are Vice President Kashim Shettima, Vice Chairman, President of the Nigerian Senate, Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, and other members. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. To stay. Welcome. The Senate Thursday passed the North Central Development Commission NCDC bill. The upper chamber passed the bill after considering the report of its Committee on Social Special Duties presented by its chairman, Senator Kaka Shehu. The bill was sponsored by the senator representing Benway's South Senatorial District, Senator Abba Moro. The minority leader of the Senate sponsored the bill, and it was co-sponsored by all the senators from the North Central region. The bill passed the first reading on the 5th of October 2023 and second reading on February 21, 2024. The federal government on Thursday inaugurated the governing councils of tertiary institutions 1 year after the councils were dissolved by President Bola Tinubu. Minister of Education Professor Tahir Mamman, who inaugurated the chairman and members of the councils in Abuja on Thursday, said it was tough deciding as he has not rested in the last 10 months over the issue. While congratulating members of the council, the minister warned them against undue interference in the human, financial, and resource management of the institutions. Professor Mamman urged them to come up with ideas that will shore up the internally generated revenue of the institutions by exploring diverse sources and partners that are willing to invest in education. The minister, however, advised them to know the existing laws guiding the institutions and to always apply the law in their dealings. Mamman said the education sector suffered the most from brain drain in the country. Professor Mamman argued that contrary to the notion that the medical profession has suffered the most from the brain drain syndrome, the education sector is the worst hit. The National Association of Nigerian Students (NANS) has disassociated itself from any planned protests or struggles against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). In a statement by its president, Comrade Lucky Emonofe, NAS condemned attempts by those it called faceless groups to manipulate students for their purposes. NAS expressed concern about reports of students being targeted and recruited to undermine the EFCC's efforts, which are crucial for defending the country's image, prestige, and economic well-being. The body urged students to remain vigilant and not allow themselves to be used as hostages by corrupt elements seeking to derail the progress being made by the EFCC. NAS called on parents, guardians, and educational institutions to be aware of these manipulative tactics and to guide their wards appropriately. The group reaffirmed its unwavering support for the EFCC and its efforts to eradicate corruption and cybercrime. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has set aside the order made by the High Court of Rivers State restraining the 25 members of the Rivers House of Assembly who allegedly defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC) from further parading themselves as members of the Assembly and conducting legislative businesses. In a unanimous judgment, Thursday, a three-member panel of the appellate court held that the Rivers State High Court lacked the power to hear the case which bordered on whether or not the seats of the lawmakers who allegedly defected were vacant or their terms had ceased. It held that by the provision of Section 273, subsection 3 of the Constitution, it is only the Federal High Court that has the jurisdiction to determine whether or not the seat of a lawmaker is vacant or his term of office has ceased. In the lead judgment, Justice Jimmy Bada held that by granting the far-reaching order restraining the lawmakers from further acting as members of the Assembly without hearing from the appellants amounted to a denial of their right to a fair hearing. Justice Bada held that no urgency warranted the grant of the ex parte order by the Rivers State High Court. Justice Bada said the trial court ought to have listened to both sides before coming to a decision prejudicial to the appellants. We'll take another break. When we come back, international news is next. Good to have you back. You're still watching Benue Television News at 9. At our 4 stories on the international scene, 25 soldiers accused of fleeing fighting against M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC) have been sentenced to death. The Butembo Military Court in North Kivu Province handed the sentences down on Wednesday, deeming them guilty of fleeing the enemy, dissipation of war munitions, and violation of orders. The tribunal was set up close to the scene of recent clashes between the Congolese army and M23 fighters with the aim of discouraging soldiers from fleeing the front line. Jules Muvweko, one of the defense lawyers, said a total of 31 defendants, including 27 soldiers and 4 of their civilian wives, appeared before the military court during the one-day trial. The 4 women were acquitted while 1 soldier was sentenced to 10 years jail for robbery. The verdict for the last soldier was unclear. In early May, 8 Congolese soldiers, including 5 officers, were sentenced to death in Goma, the provincial capital of North Kivu, for cowardice and fleeing the enemy. Moise Hangi, a human rights activist, noted DRC's government only recently lifted a suspension on the death penalty that was in place since 2003. The firefighters lined roads to keep flames from reaching homes as helicopters dropped water on the growing wildfire in Northern California that has forced at least 26,000 people to evacuate as the state and a swathe of the United States are in the grip of a record-breaking and dangerous heat wave. The Thompson fire broke out on Tuesday about 110 kilometers north of Sacramento, near the city of Oroville. It sent up a huge plume of smoke that could be seen from space as it grew to more than 14 square kilometers. More than 1,400 hectares of grass and woodland have since been consumed by the blaze. Oroville is near Paradise, a community that was razed in 2018 by the deadliest fire in California's history that killed 85 people. Climate scientists say the western U.S. is undergoing a decades-long acidification as weather patterns change, at least in part because of the human-caused global warming. California suffered about 20 years of drought, but the last 2 years were relatively mild, with near-record amounts of rain that filled reservoirs and caused furious growth in forest and grasslands. However, 2024 is shaping up to be a hot and dry year, and flora is rapidly drying out, creating plenty of fuel for the wildfires that are a normal part of the ecosystem's natural cycle. And finally, Russia has sought to paint itself as a peacemaker in the war it started in Ukraine, calling NATO and Ukraine warmongers and storming out of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE. Russia formally withdrew the country's delegation from the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly on Wednesday after citing discriminatory approaches, double standards, and total Russophobia. The last straw, it said, was Romania's refusal to grant the Russian delegation visas to attend the OSCE's annual session in Bucharest this week. The diplomatic posture appeared designed to push back against Ukraine's peace conference in Switzerland last month, part of a global diplomatic process in which Ukraine has tried to win countries over to its view of how the war should end. Respecting Ukraine's territorial integrity is key to that view and was part of a statement at the end of the conference. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky followed up on the Swiss conference last Friday when he said his government was working on finalizing aspects of a comprehensive peace formula by the end of the year. That's about the size of our package for this morning. The top stories just before we go. Benue State Police Command has confirmed death of 6 persons in Okum local government area. We also told you that Senate has passed North Central Development Commission bill. And on the international scene, Democratic Republic of Congo Tribunal has sentenced 25 soldiers to death for fleeing the enemy. Many thanks for your attention. My name is Jude Alaki. Have a beautiful Friday.
Welcome to the exciting world of Benue Television, where we give you an exclusive ride into the world of news, current affairs, and entertainment. Ready for a first stop? Ride with me. Benue Television.
Our news and flagship program, Daybreak Benue, keeps you informed on events and happenings around the nation and the world.
We engage our guests on hot topics and beam searchlight on shady stories.
With millions of people watching Benue TV worldwide, we ensure that we bring you news that is accurate, timely, and dependable.
Our programs are entertaining and educative with high quality audio, leaving you with an amazing viewing experience.
Benway TV, a new dimension in broadcasting.